Welcome back. Mithra Pratap Singh, you're joining us on NewsX. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been conferred the Mithra Vibhushana Award by Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Dissanayake. This is the first time that an Indian leader is receiving this award. While accepting the award, the Prime Minister dedicated it to the 1.4 billion people of India. He stated that it is a testament to the special friendship between India and Sri Lanka and the age-old links between the people of the two countries. It's undeniable that India has always lent a helping hand to Sri Lanka during crises, whether it be the 1980s when the IPKF troops went there, or in the past few years when assistance and loans amounting to more than 2.4 billion were sent. India has always been a steadfast ally of Colombo. What's interesting is that this award is the 21st state honour conferred upon Prime Minister Modi. He's also received honours from Saudi Arabia, UAE, France, the US, Fiji, Kuwait, Maldives, Egypt, Guyana, Mauritius, amongst other nations. Ambassador J.K. Tripathi, former diplomat, is joining us live. Adit Kotari, foreign affairs expert, is live with us. Himanshu Bhatt, senior journalist, is joining the broadcast. Sumit Peet, senior political commentator, is also with us live. Let me make a start with you first. Ambassador Tripathi, what does this award mean for India-Sri Lanka ties, and also, of course, for the way forward for this relationship with Sri Lanka under the leadership of Narendra Modi, who's been called a Mithra Vibhushan by the Lankans. In fact, the first Indian leader to be conferred this prestigious honour and award.
Thank you very much, Uday, and with good evening to all the panelists, fellow panelists, and your viewers. I would like to say that this award is the highest civilian award, Mithra Vibhushana Award, given by Sri Lankan government to anyone. But it added importance is that this award is being given to Indian Prime Minister by the President of Sri Lanka, who has the socialist leaning. So a socialist government giving award to Indian government, Indian Prime Minister means something very special, and especially when his first visit was to China, and now after his visit to India, Prime Minister Modi is visiting Aruna Kumar Dissanayake. So this becomes very important, and not only that. Now, the most important agreement that has been signed between the two countries is the defense cooperation agreement, comprehensive defense cooperation agreement, though its details have not been made public so far, but I feel that this will go a long way in establishing India-Sri Lanka defense partnership, and thereby thwarting Chinese aggression or Chinese maneuvers in the Indian Ocean area, especially when China is in cahoots with Pakistan, and recently Maldives also has allowed Chinese surveillance ship, which is in fact an espionage ship, surveillance ship, to dock at Maldives ports. So in this situation, this becomes very important for India to have a defense cooperation agreement. And not only that, I mean, there had been other agreements, grant assistance agreement, there had been the agreement for grid connectivity, there had been agreement on digital information, health, trade, and regional development. 7 agreements or MOU in total have been signed. But this defense agreement makes it very important, and it is to be seen how China reacts to it, especially when recently Bangladeshi caretaker Prime Minister, you can say, or caretaker advisor Yunus has been in China, and due to his irresponsible utterances and claims, he has obviously antagonized India. In this situation, if India's relations with Sri Lanka take a firmer ground and take a firmer stance, this will be better for India as well as Sri Lanka also, and this will be to great inconvenience, I can say, at this time to China.
Let me, in fact, take that to you as well on the aspect, of course, Sumit Peer, on where you see Prime Minister Narendra Modi's stature globally right now, given these plethora of honors that he continues to get. This is the 21st such honor that has been accorded to him by a country, and most of these are all firsts for an Indian leader. Where does this put India's pedestal in the global arena, and where does this put Narendra Modi and his stature globally as well? In the context of our neighborhood, with Sri Lanka, of course, according him this, but also the world at large.
Uday, thank you very much for having me on your show. Always a pleasure and a beautiful question because, there are two aspects of it. First of all, it's a 21st number. 21 is a very auspicious number in Sanatan Dharma. So the number has more relevance than a normal number, right? And 21 is not a kidding. It's 21 countries giving you the highest civilian honors. So when Prime Minister Modi gets it, he always dedicates it to the people. So basically it is one more feather in the cap of Prime Minister Modi and one more laurel for country Bharat. Because at the end of the day, it is the Bharat also who is indirectly endorsed by it. Now this talks of a person who is visionary. This talks of a person who is a global leader. This talks of a person who really lives in Vasudevam Kutumbakam. Because from Christians, from Muslims to Buddhist, everybody is giving him these honors. It's not only one particular country, one particular nation, friends and all. If you look at Sri Lankan case, for example, so-called Mr. President Dishanayake is supposed to be a left-leaning president. Is supposed to be a kind of a pro-China, perception is pro-China. But his first visit was to India. And the first international leader to visit him is Prime Minister Modi. And then when Prime Minister Modi goes there, he has done what was never done by anybody before them. He gives the highest civilian honor to Prime Minister Modi, stressing the need, how much India needs and values, how much Sri Lanka needs and values India, and what is the relation between them. Now, if you look at today, look, Sri Lanka, 25 million population, $74 billion of GDP. I think the tourism was $3.6 billion. Before COVID, they used to around $4 billion. Now, Sri Lanka needs a powerful economy and an economy which does not eye its land, ladies and legitimacy. I'll be very candid. And to have a foothold here. India is the only country who guarantees that. If you go the Chinese way, you know what happens to Pakistan, you know what happens to Ugars. And last time, when Sri Lanka was in a dire situation, who sent $4 billion? Bharat. Who lended the helping right? Bharat. Who went all around there? Bharat. And there's another thing which people must know. In last 4 visits of Prime Minister Modi, intentions of Prime Minister Modi were always the same. 4 Sri Lankan presidents changed. But Modi ji was the only constant factor. Kabhi intention nahi badla. Kabhi intention nahi badla. It doesn't matter you're a left-leaning or right-leaning because we as Bharatis think of our Sri Lankans as brothers and sisters and we are really concerned about their welfare. That is the magic of the man. And that even a left-leaning leader now understands. Now, what has he done today? Look at this MOU, which I was reading. I don't have a lot of details, but what I was reading about, this will enable Sri Lankan land, seas and air to be used for any activity which Bharat thinks is for its defense and internal security and for security perspective. That means we can literally have Sri Lanka under our umbrella and nobody can come to Sri Lankan shores and threaten our peace and sovereignty. Now, this is something which has not been thought of. This is something which nobody could think of. This is something which nobody could do before. And now Prime Minister goes here, he gets it done, and with it comes an honor. So it's a very, very subtle and clear message to India where Mr. Dishanayake has chosen his sides on, where he has kept his bets on. And I was always talking to our brothers and sisters in Sri Lanka, look, if you want to have a really stable and peaceful life, you have to integrate your economy with Bharat. Because I'm not saying there should be same currency and you should be a part of Bharat, but equate your economy with Bharat. Work with Bharat because Bharat is a 4.3 trillion economy and you are just $74 billion of GDP. If you kind of integrate your buying and selling cycles with us, that will be the real boom what you can get out of this perennial problems and your currency will be very strong and resilient. For example, why Jordan's currency today is resilient? Because it's pegged to US dollar. Whereas UAE's currency pegged? It's pegged to US dollar. So when a Jordan can do it, when a UAE can do it, why can't a Sri Lanka do it? It's logical. Left-leaning, right-leaning doesn't help. And last time when they were in fiasco, they were in trouble. Did China send one nickel? They did not even send one nickel. You know how much would they send? They sent $70,000 of aid. Sharam nahi aati yaar. $70,000 of aid. And we are sending billions and billions, and our money was not to entrap anybody. Our money was not to get their landladies or legitimacy. Our money was not to get a hold on their politics. Our money was to help our brothers and sisters in Sri Lanka, because our cultural ties are much, much, much older from the time of Bhagwan Sri Ram. That is the difference what Chinese have to realize. That's the difference what Sri Lankans have to realize, and that's the difference what a common man on the roads of Sri Lanka has to realize. And if you look at the debt, Uday, there's one interesting aspect of the debt also. Our debt, Chinese debt and Japanese debt was almost same. Japanese was slightly higher. But what was in the discussion? What was in the media? Chinese debt. Did anybody ever talk about Bharat's debt? Did anybody even talk about a Japanese debt on Sri Lanka? It was almost same. And the Japanese were a bit higher than us. But why did Chinese debt become the fiasco? Why did Chinese debt become the problem? How are Chinese able to take for a $200 million debt? They are able to get a one and only functional international airport in a country in Africa. I don't want to take the name because that's not the time. They get ports, they get airports, they get mining rights, they get everything. It's a loot, plunder, and this debt trapping what they've been doing. I am happy President Dishanayake, though he is believed or perceived to be left-leaning, but he has done something which a nationalist will do and which is good for his country. I appreciate the man, because it's not, it doesn't matter where my lineage or where my thinking is, but this is what Sri Lanka needed, and Prime Minister Modi is the only person who can deliver the goods for you, because you have not seen such a powerful Prime Minister in the history of India so far. Now, after this MOU, what I know right now, what is available in the open media, I think a lot of our worries vis-a-vis China are settled. And God willingly, people of Sri Lanka will bloom and prosper with us, because हमारा तो भाई बहन का रिश्ता है. We are not there to siphon anything. We are not there to, no land, ladies, legitimacy. We are not interested in any of the things. While as if you talk about China, they are interested in exactly all the three things. Look what have they done to Uyghurs. Look what have they done to Pakistan. Look what have they done to Africa. And you see the kind of backlash China is getting everywhere in the world. We don't get that. It's a very smart move. And Prime Minister Modi, you have to congratulate him and Misri ji and Dr. Jaishankar and all, because all this big MOU, Uday, was kept in wraps. Nobody knew about it till yesterday or 2 days back. ऐसा नहीं कि काम कल शुरू हुआ. They must be talking for weeks and months and all to, negotiate and all. किसी को हवा तक नहीं लगी. The Chinese did not even get a whisper of it in the air. That is the beautiful part where the Indian diplomacy and bureaucracy needs to be congratulated today, and the people of India have to realize it. And the last point I want to make, I have always highlighted, China was doing one thing.
Yes.
A lot of meth, Uday, was coming to Colombo, and from Colombo they were using fishing boats to transport it to a particular port in Tamil Nadu and trying to send it into India. After this, that menace is gone. Thank God.
Okay, let me in fact take that to Himanshu Bhatt as well. Himanshu Bhatt, these ties, of course, historic with India. Do you believe that that is something now the Sri Lankans realize, the Sri Lankans see India's partnership and help? Be it, of course, the economic help more recently, be it the strategic defense help earlier, who can forget IPKF and our help then as well. Is that something you see through this award given to PM Modi, through these MOUs signed, through the kind of welcome he's got on this visit?
Well, the days of IPKF are over. Let's put it that way. With this award, IPKF, lot of water has flown into this Indian Ocean. And one pragmatic thing which I will tell you, which Sumit referred to but did not say that. And that is the geography. Geography. The nation that remembers its geography, understands its geography, prospers. And that is what Sri Lanka has realized. Der aaye, durast aaye, but they have come. They have understood that. And if you see our neighborhood policy, with our neighborhood policy, we seem to have trouble 2 years ago across the board. Now what's happening? One by one, Mohitu went there, then Maldives came back. Now Sri Lanka has done so. There are some troubles brewing in Nepal, but they will also come through. So what's happening is, those pragmatic nations, small nations, in a big region when you have a big brother, the small nation needs to understand that geography and try and take advantage of it. Those who can take advantage of it will prosper. And that is what exactly Sri Lankan leadership, be it left, be it right, seem to have understood. Those days of IPKF are long gone and forgotten. And you were talking about our virasat. See, it's something like this. When we talk of Ramayana and when we talk of, Sita put in that Vatika, now these are the biggest tourist centers. Flooded by whom? Nobody else but Indians, Bhartiyas in Sri Lanka. So it's already prospering. It's something like this, See, Hambantota we talk of Gwadar. And we talk of that irritant called China. But what is the use of Hambantota today to Sri Lanka? If you look at from that perspective, you will understand that Hambantota is of no use. When that is the case, when an Adani from Bharat goes and makes a union with some American firm, and comes up with a project in Sri Lanka, people are aghast. But then, as I said, in international geopolitics today, there are more experts than me here talking about that, can speak about that very lengthily. But what I understand is, those who understand that international geography, and those who respect that geography, what they have, what they possess, always prosper. And that is what probably Sri Lanka has realized now. And that is what, that 400 billion economy, for that 400 billion economy to become a trillion economy doesn't take time if they have a big brother pushing them. So when India goes to 4.3 trillion and crosses 5 in a couple of years' time, crosses 6, Sri Lanka can also piggyback on that to $1 trillion economy. That is what the essence of it. And that's why I always feel this sort of awards are basically nothing but, signifying to the world the intentions of the nation that gives the award towards the nation whose prime minister, whose president gets it. So it's, Sri Lanka telling the world, now we support and we trust Bharat more than ever before. That is what it is with that.
Adit Kothari, let me quickly draw you in here. Which of the MOUs stood out for you, and which are the main areas of convergence now between India and Sri Lanka in the days ahead?
But if you just give me a minute or so, I'm going to come to the MOU part, but I'm just going to take the discussion forward from where Mr. Peer and Mr. Bhatt have left. I think the one common consensus that we all can make is that India's foreign policy is an evolving theory, and we are learning as we go along. We are learning not to put our eggs into that one basket, and we are learning not to get perturbed and disturbed by every election that a neighboring country has. Ultimately, it's the national interest of these neighboring nations which will enforce them to sway towards India. And we've seen that time and time again, whether it's Maldives, sooner or later, even Bangladesh is going to fall in line. Sri Lanka is there. I'm going to go back to even Malaysia. We all remember the kind of relations that we had with Mahathir when Mahathir was there in power. And the moment, that changed, we used palm oil diplomacy. We sort of arm twisted them in various shapes and forms, and they fell in line. So, India has all the pull and push mechanisms to ensure that all of its concerns can be addressed. Yes, we have faltered slightly when it comes to extracting our pound of flesh, ensuring that our interests are not sort of deflected by our sort of partner nations. And, this is a learning process, and I'm sure that, going forward, we will only make better of the situation. So something that, Matripala Sirisena, who was the ex-president of Sri Lanka, he had said this, that India...
We're getting live pictures, in fact, right now on our screens. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived at the IPKF Memorial. Could we please have those pictures on our screens? Let's go full frame to them. The IPKF Memorial in Colombo, Sri Lanka, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is currently. Could we please go full frame? Yes, there are those pictures, of course. The Prime Minister observing a moments of silence. Remembering, of course, those Indian soldiers who, of course, laid down their lives fighting during the war there in Sri Lanka. Also, of course, the other names of those brave hearts who lost their lives. You can see them at the memorial. The Prime Minister, of course, reading those names. The Prime Minister spending a moment, of course, remembering, laying a wreath there and of course marking this visit by this solemn gesture as well. The IPKF memorial, of course, again signifies a lot. Again, a hallmark of ties between India and Sri Lanka and the old relationship that we enjoy, and also, of course, the helping hand that India has always accorded to Sri Lanka. Signing the visitor's book as well. These are the pictures coming in. Ambassador J.K. Tripathi, how significant is this visit by Prime Minister Modi to the IPKF memorial as well? And this also conveys a lot between the historic ties that India and Sri Lanka have enjoyed for many, many decades.
You are 100% correct. The Prime Minister's visit to these memorials and these two, though in diplomatic parlor they are called only the tourist stops. I mean, except the substantial part, which is the discussions between the two sides, these are something to fill in. But then these fillers also take an advantage or take an importance when it comes to your immediate neighbor country, when it comes to a country with which you had signed earlier defense agreement in 1987, you know, when Indian peacekeeping forces were there. So after that, this is the first time such a big agreement is being signed, and this is to revive, or you can say this is to strengthen further the centuries old ties between the two countries, between the two neighbors, which have their ties not only based in history but based in mythology as well. And then this also shows India's concern and India's preparedness to come to help to its neighbors whenever it is needed, irrespective of what the neighbor wants or what type of relations the neighbor has or tries to have. You remember, like Maldives, Moiju, when he came to power, riding on the wave of out India, and then very soon he was sort of domesticated because he realized that India is the biggest neighbor, and without India you cannot survive. It is a sort of it is a world where you cannot live in isolation, especially when your neighbor is big. So these things, these optics, these gestures that Modi is visiting this memorial, Modi is signing book here, there, these carry a these go a long way and carry a very big importance in the mindset of the people who are watching, because these show that how the leaders are concerned about how our Prime Minister is concerned, and how much our Prime Minister cares about neighbors and their concerns. So this becomes very important gesture, I can say, Uday.
Yes, indeed. You know, the IPKF memorial visit, Himanshu, we were just speaking, of course, about the IPKF. Prime Minister Modi, you know, of course, marking this visit to Sri Lanka by this solemn gesture there in Colombo at the IPKF memorial, remembering, you know, the fallen braves, of course, from India who laid down their lives fighting there. You know, this says a lot, and also is reflective of the partnership enjoyed between India and Sri Lanka, and also, as I said earlier, the all-weather, you know, support that India has always accorded to Sri Lanka. Might I add, no strings attached, no clauses attached.
What you added, no strings attached, no clauses attached, that is what seemed to be working. And that is what works in the world. Because your regular intention, if you see anywhere across the world, if you see Bharat is always the first responder when there is a natural calamity. Now that's an accepted fact. People have accepted it. Be it Myanmar, be it Turkey, be it Sri Lanka, be it anywhere across the place. Bharat generally becomes the first responder. in the disaster cases. And when that gives a respect, and that earns a respect, and when a prime minister goes through another country, and then when you talk of IPKF, Indian Peacekeeping Force, and it goes to the memorial and pays a respect, it shows a lot about that country's integrity also. See, be it any political regimes, that doesn't come here. But a prime minister visiting there and standing in front of it and respecting their soldiers. Now that respect, that is shown to the world. The world sees it through the camera lenses. And that is what, works, because they know that this is a country which cannot be taken lightly. They respect their soldiers on the foreign land also. Modi ji does that in Europe also when he sees that Second World War memorials. The same thing with the IPKF soldiers. See, there's a very big simile there. The entire world learns about this. Entire world understands about this. Sees that and says, this is the country we cannot take lightly now in today's context. And that is what, works.
Yes.
Be it Sri Lanka, be it Europe.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes, Sumit Peer, a quick last word to you. Do we have Adit Kothari still with us? Okay, I think we've lost him. Yes, Sumit Peer, last word.
The thing is very clear. Look, when we look at IPKF, there were some challenges with that. That was a very tough decision, but Indian soldiers protected Sri Lanka with their life, sweat and blood. That people of Sri Lanka has to remember, India has to remember. And Prime Minister Modi choosing to go there, there are two connotations to it. One, Sri Lankans wanted you to go there and pay respect. Secondly, there are a lot of sensitivities even within India regarding that whole IPKF operation. Amidst that, to honor the brave, to honor the people who have given their life for the India, and to honor the international commitments and to honor the neighborhood policy first, he chose to go there. If he would have, if there was an option, he could have always said, I don't want to go there. You can always drop a stop if you're not very comfortable with it. But when it comes to the honor of the country and the army and the brave men, Prime Minister Modi takes decisions which are not political, which is for the honor of the country and the fallen heroes. That's a very, very clear and subtle message. And let the people of Sri Lanka remember, even 3 decades back, Bachane kaun aaya tha? Who were the people who came and gave their lives here and saved us? They were the Indian army and the brave hearts of India. And this pratha and this culture has to continue. We are not here to give you money at 8% interest and then take you to ports and airports and, start all the crap. We are here because we are your brothers, and we are here because we are your well-wishers. That's the message which is very subtle. 30 years back, IPKF saved you, and 30 years or 300 years in future, Indian Army and Bharat has the capability of saving you. That's a very subtle message here.
My thanks to our guests for joining us on this broadcast. It's time for a very short break. Stay with NewsX.